Okay, we are at noon, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Brenda Clark. I work at City of Tempe Neighborhood Services, and I'll be here today presenting a neighborhood data workshop with Melissa McGehee, who works on our GIS team. So we recently held a grant workshop on January 24th about our neighborhood grant project that has a lot of more details related to our neighborhood grants. But just here so you can see a little bit of information. This is an annual project, annual grant program, $350,000 in total funding, up to $20,000 per project. We evaluate on impact, quality, and ability. And part of the reason why we're having this conversation in this webinar today is to discuss the equity factor. We look at making sure that the projects are accessible and equitable to all in the neighborhoods. And so when you hear Melissa speaking, just keep in mind that the grants are competitive, and the information that she's sharing with you can be used to fold into your grant projects to make them more competitive and to show how maybe they may be a benefit to all in the community. So that is really all for that. I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Melissa.
As she said, I'm Melissa McGehee. I'm a GIS data analyst with the city, and today I'm going to be going over some tools that we have. I'm going to share my screen real quick just to be able to show the agenda. So I'm going to be going over the neighborhood grants data and that's found in the equity map. I'm going to touch on our open data portal very quickly on how to make a map, the performance measure dashboards, and some other training and resources that we have available. So I am going to exit out of this. All right, so this is the equity map, and when you open it up, it is blank, but there's a lot of content here, and it's all organized down here in these tables. And if you hover over it, it tells you what the theme of that data is. So we have income. Okay, we have income, disability, demographics.
Melissa,
yeah,
it looks like we can't see your screen.
Oh, okay. Let me try again. Let me unshare, and then.
There we go.
Oh, wait. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay. So again, it's just a blank map to start with, the Tempe boundary. And then down at the bottom, there's a number of tables, and you can hover over to see what content is in them. So we have income, disability, demographics, assets, technology access, and neighborhood grants. So if you click on one of them, a list of layers will show up. So what we have here is we have the grants in different formats for you. So if you click on the box next to the layer name, you'll see data, and you can click on this little arrow, and you'll see a legend that tells you what the colors mean. Darker colors is, for us at least, always the higher number. So this is the higher dollar amount. Others, it's the higher percentage rate. So for this one, you see the darker colors have received more grant funding, and you can click on a shape and get information.
That's weird.
I'm sorry? So it tells you the number of grants that this neighborhood association has received, the total dollar amount, and then it gives the name and the type of association that it is. So that's one way to look at the data for grants that have been distributed. You can also do it by year. So again, these will be more contained because it's just the specifics for that year. So again, you can click on it and get the information. This one includes a description of what the grant was for. And then down here, we have all of them that have ever been distributed from 1994 to the current fiscal year. And you click on the polygon, or the shape, and it lists out by association, the fiscal year and amount distributed. So that's just one good, if you're trying to get an idea of what kind of grants have been given out, this would be a good place to go for that. You can close that out. So if you, as she mentioned, income or demographics might be informative for your grant applications if you include that information to make it more competitive, if you're trying to include the equity piece. So again, you click on the icon down here that you want. And as you can see, there's quite a few layers here. We have the poverty rate, the median income, and then each range of incomes. Most likely you would probably want to use maybe the poverty rate or the median income. So again, you click on the box. This gives you an idea of what the range is for each color. And then you could, if you wanted to, if you need to see where your neighborhood association is, you could overlap it and then zoom in to see which tract. These are all by census tract. So you can see this one is 16.5% poverty rate. So that means 16.5% of the population in that area is living in poverty. Here, the median income, same thing. The median income here is $74,861. So this could be very useful information if you're trying to target perhaps low income members of the population. And then we also have, if any of yours pertain to disability, you could, this one has total population with disability, any kind of disability. Oh, I'm sorry, I just realized I did something. I left the income on there. Let me remove that. So if you're doing something that would affect or benefit peoples with disability, you could use this information in your grant. Again, you just click on the pop-up and it tells you the percent of the population with a disability in this area. And if your neighborhood association falls within that area, 18.7%. If it pertains to a specific disability, maybe ambulatory, something to do with mobility, you could also use this. So again, the darker color is higher percent. So those are just some different data sources, data points that you could pull in just from the equity map. Demographics, let me close this up a little bit. Again, you have by race and ethnicity, and Spanish speaking. You also have education and age, and then by gender. So those are all, you could, again, just click on the pop-up and get the information that you need for your specific area. So that's pretty much the equity map. If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat or raise your hand and then we can answer them towards the end. Another source that you may or may not be familiar with is our Open Tempe site, and this gives you access to a number of things. We have our performance measures, which you click up here, and these show you they're organized by our strategic priorities. And so if you're trying to get some information about a specific topic, you could go in here and click on any of these icons, and it pulls up the strategic priority and all the performance measures related to that. It gives you a table of contents here that you can click on, and it would take you to that specific performance measure, or you can scroll, and these are little snapshot dashboards of each performance measure. And so it gives you just a little brief description, what the baseline starting point is and the target. If you wanted to know more information, you can explore the performance measure. And lagging internet with presentations. It gives you a chart eventually of the historic data and the current, sorry, I don't know why that's, sorry. And then it gives a description and the strategies that are being used to meet that performance measure. And then you can also go in here and hit explore, and that takes you to the specific data. And why is everything? Of course, when I do a presentation, it lags. So this just gives you the historic data year by year. So that is a source for grants, and just broadly speaking, doesn't have to be specifically for the grants. Another thing that is available to you is we have a Data Academy, which includes some videos regarding how to interact with the map, just generally like how, if you see a map on one of our sites, how you would navigate it, and video on ArcGIS Online and how you can create a video, or excuse me, an account for yourself, and which would allow you to create a map, pulling in all these different data and using it in your grants. Maybe take a screenshot or something like that as well. We also have our data catalog and performance measures. These are videos that show you how to use them, and I'm going to show you in just a moment as well. And there are also some videos from ESRI or Esri that are available to the public that show you more in depth how to use GIS and maps. And just a little bit more about this. Here's an about, which gives you a little bit of information just about open data, our policies, and then also down here is very important. So if you're using the site and there's something maybe not functioning or missing, then you can fill out a quick form, just let us know. We do take a look at these, but it's helpful to have input from people who are using it as well. And then if there is data that you can't find and you think it would be useful to have, you can submit a form, this form, to suggest that as a possible open data set. And we will review it to see if it's feasible to include that. So those are both there under the about. And then you can go to a public account and create an account just using an email address. And again, in the Data Academy, there's a video that walks you through how to do that. So again, those are just some quick resources that are available to you, all for free. And then the final one is the Open Data Catalog. And there's a few different ways to search. One is by keyword, which I'll show you in just a moment. But if you scroll down, you can also search within these themes. And if you keep scrolling, again, we have another link to the performance measures. And then we have what are called hub sites, which are just stories and the data kind of pulled together about all of these different initiatives or projects, which could be informative, broadly speaking, but also for the grants. So I'm going to scroll back up here to the top. And if we do a keyword search, you can find specific data about different topics. And maybe you're trying to do something with trees. So when you type in a word, you'll get a return of some different options. Anything that has a number with a decimal in it, that is related to performance measures. Probably not what you're going to be looking for. So what you want to look for is something without the number, and then also says data here. And you just click on that. And what will return is a map. Sometimes it'll be a spreadsheet. It just depends on what the data is. And this shows you the location of trees in Tempe that are owned by or responsibility of Tempe, the city of Tempe. And you can click on a point and it gives you information about the tree should you need it. Another thing to note over here is when it was last updated. That can be very important to how valuable the data is or how relevant it is to you. So even outside of City of Tempe's site, if you're ever looking at data, try to find the date that it was last updated. If you want to see information about the trees, if you're not quite sure what this includes, you can click on that link and it gives you a description. This one is pretty lengthy, and so you have a lot of information here. And then if you're not quite sure what the fields mean, like, you know, what does DBH mean? So you can go to this data dictionary and it will tell you the diameter of the tree at breast height. That's what DBH means. So it has a list of all the fields. It gives you an example from the data and then a description. So that can be very useful in helping you understand the data that you're looking for. I'm going to go back and a couple other ones that are here that might be relevant. We have art. So we have here the public art shortlist. That's an application and that could be very useful. And I suggest you take a look at that. We have some what are called story maps, and they're again just a collection of information and images and text about the public art. Could be very useful. But we also have a map and then data. So it depends on what you're wanting to use it for. The data you can download as a CSV, and the map you can look at again to see where public art is located. And again, you click on the point and it gives you information about the art that is located there. And then another one that you can do that might be relevant, I wanted to show you is traffic. We're going to look at the map. And this one is symbolized or shown with the volume by volume of the traffic. So the thicker lines show you that this is a busier street or a busier section of the street. So if you were to click on that, right here we have total volume is 33,016. And if you click on one of the thinner, you can see it's 11,519. So if you're doing something with streets, again, this doesn't have every street in Tempe, but it does have the major ones. That could be informative for one of your grants if you're doing anything regarding streets. All right, let me see here. So that's just some of the data that's available. And again, you just do keyword searches for you know, anything that your grant is about, and if you parks, yeah, you just do a keyword search and explore it. One thing that you could do is pull up the neighborhood associations themselves, and you can scroll down. Again, this gives information. You can scroll down here to open in ArcGIS Online. And you can open it in Map Viewer and pull in some data, but if you want to save it, you'll want to create an account and then you can sign in here. And then once you're done with the map, you can save it to your account. That way you can come back to it. But if you just, you know, you're just going to go in and you just want to maybe catch a quick screenshot of something, you could go in here. My apologies for the delay. It always does this when there's a presentation being done. This is very useful. If it's your first time coming in, you can learn more about the map viewer, and that gives you some guidance on how to use it. But I'm going to go ahead and close that. So this is this similar view to what you saw before in the equity map. But if you wanted to look for something, say you're doing something regarding graffiti, you can go up here to this little plus sign that says add and browse layers. It's going to default to this living atlas. There is information in there that you could use, but it's not going to be specific to Tempe. So you want to choose from this little drop down here, ArcGIS Online, which still pulls from everything in ArcGIS Online, which is everything across the world. Anybody with an account can share to this to ArcGIS Online. So when you're doing a search, you want to add Tempe at the end. So we're going to type in graffiti, and I know it's called a graffiti abatement because I know that that's what the data is called. But if you do graffiti Tempe, you want to, these are the search results. So this is the owner of this layer of data. You want to make sure that you find Tempe data as the owner. Again, 3.25, that means it's a performance measure. It's probably not what you're looking for. So here's graffiti abatement incidences. If I click on this title, that gives me a description, tells me when it was last updated. So I can review this and make sure it's what I want. And then I can click add to map. And since I'm done with my layers, I'm going to close that. And so here are all of the graffiti incidences that have occurred in Tempe and have been resolved. And you can zoom in to one of your neighborhood associations and see the incidences that have taken place. And if you're just trying to present a sense of how much graffiti has been in an area, you could just potentially take a screenshot of your neighborhood association. And then again, if you're signed in, you could also save it and come back to it later. You can do other things, get more involved, and change the way the symbols look, but that's a little bit more advanced. And some of those other trainings that I showed you could show you how to do that. So, and then if you want to go back to the full view, you can hit this home button and then, oh, okay, maybe not. Sorry, all of our maps are focused in on Tempe. So I wasn't expecting that. But you can also use these plus and minus signs to zoom in and out, as well as your mouse. So are there any questions?
So it seems like there are a lot of good uses that could maybe even be applied towards other things in the community if anyone's interested in that. And in just a moment, I'll plop in the recording of last year's data video. So you're welcome to watch that one as well. And there's a Q&A session in that one as well, so you can kind of review it, and maybe it gives you some ideas of what you may want to use it to search for. But if there are no questions, we can go ahead and conclude. And Kendra, if you want to stay on, we can do some troubleshooting. Okay, all right, Kendra will stay on. So give me just a moment and I'll go ahead and share that link, and I will go ahead and stop the recording and conclude. Thank you.